And it's time for episode 11 of That Time I Got Reincarnated in the Same World as an Anime Podcaster. I'm your host, Isekai Sensei-Sama, and as always, I'm joined in the Weeb Cabal by Kermit D. Grog, a.k.a. Andrew.
Ahoy, hoy.
And Bento Baggins, a.k.a. Ben.
Yasashibori.
Hope everybody's doing good today. Guys, episode 11, we're almost at a year, and we're going to do it. We're going to reach our goal of having no comments for an entire year.
Good. If anyone ruins that, there will be hell to pay.
Terrible. How am I supposed to make my thing not living in secret peace, unaffected by outside comments?
Well, in case you are listening to this for the first time, we're some friends who like to watch anime together, and we decided that our normal conversations about anime and manga and all the culture around those, we should do a podcast about it. So that's what we're doing. We hope you enjoy, but don't leave a comment. Before we jump into everything today, got a couple news items for you. Actually, quite a few news items here.
Big news week.
October is going to be a big month.
People talk about big anime release seasons because it's seasonal. This is the biggest one that I can remember in recent memory.
So we're going to start it off October 1st, which is 2 days from now from recording. So this stuff might already be out by the time you listen to this. October 1st, we got Spy Family season 1 part 2.
Whatever these mean anymore, who knows?
Yeah, we're very much looking forward to that. Spy Family, maybe one of the top 3 anime of all time.
A delight, a constant delight of my week every time we watched it, and I was so sad when it was gone. And now, with more anime coming back that I'm caught up on the manga, I want it back in my life.
And hot on its heels, it actually might air before. I didn't look at the times, but also October 1st is My Hero Academia. It's coming back. I believe it said season 6. That sounds right. But
yeah, we've been keeping up for that for a while. That's kind of one of the anime elder statesmen of its generation now. It's been around a hot minute,
hasn't it?
Yeah.
But as some of us know, it is coming to an end.
But it hasn't ended yet, right,
Ben? There
Ben?
will be an end.
Okay. It's still going, but
so we probably still got a couple years of anime left.
Yeah.
But
come on, Vigilantes anime. That's where you want it. That's the good stuff.
At least 2 seasons, I'd think.
Yeah.
At least.
You think they'd start a Vigilantes anime before the main one finishes?
The Vigilantes manga started and ended before the My Hero Academia manga ended. So, yes.
And then October 5th, we're getting a new season of Mob Psycho 100.
Yeah, season 3. I'd continue. I don't know what they're going to do. The season 2 felt like we kind of went a lot of places, but like I'm always up for more Mob. I love Mob.
The trailer for it looks pretty cool, but I am very interested because the last season really ramped things up and seemed like it came to a conclusion. So I'm wondering where they're going to go with it now.
Yeah. A lot of other anime, I'd be like way more skeptical of like, feels like you guys finished what you were doing, but like Mob is such a free wheeling and dealing and powerful message creeling device that I'm just like, yeah, no, I'm curious what you guys do next because it's always something incredible and resonant.
And then last but certainly not least, by a long shot, October 18th.
Oh, you missed one.
You missed what?
See, I should have taken the time to reorder them.
Okay. Jeez, I was just like, I don't know what it's the only one that's left. That's the big thing you hype up.
Cut this part out.
Cut it with the chainsaw.
That's right. October 11th, the Chainsaw Man anime.
I mean, admittedly, it'll be nice to actually finally hear a chainsaw rev and not just have to read an onomatopoeia on a page for it.
I'll tell you what. If you haven't seen the trailer for that yet, I think we all have. But people listening, if you haven't seen it, go check it out. It looks incredible. Like the animation quality is over the top.
Do we start with Chainsaw Man and then watch the Spy Family episode, or the other way around?
Oh, it's going to be so difficult.
I know.
I mean, we're going to get Spy Family before Chainsaw Man, I think it'll be a week.
Okay, we'll see. We'll get
Maybe
there.
2
We'll get
weeks.
there. But you know,
But oh man, that's really hard because they're both so good. I mean, I'm assuming the Chainsaw Man anime is good. The manga is excellent. So I don't really know. We're gonna have so much good stuff to watch in October. It's like, how do we choose which goes first?
I
Which
feel
goes
like you do
last?
the intensity of Chainsaw Man first, and then you kind of cool down with Spy Family. Maybe cool down's maybe not the right phrase, but like get a little less bleak, maybe.
Yeah.
You relax.
A little more fun. A little more.
You remember there is
chill.
joy in the world.
Yeah.
With Spy Family.
And so, last but certainly not least, by a long shot, October 18th, Volume 6 of Frieren Beyond Journey's End.
Oh, that was what you were.
I may be a volume behind.
I am tentatively interested after the last one, but hopefully we're out of very, very tropey anime zone, which is fitting to our future topic. But yeah, no. Also, a fun fact for me of something coming out, Golden Kamui is getting a season 4, a thing I never thought was going to happen, but I'm excited to see it. Because some really... I don't know how they're going to animate it in a very, like... I don't know how they're going to put this on TV with Japanese laws. That's the reason why I can't read it on the Shonen Jump app, because it's not for children at moments.
Ben, didn't we talk about Volume 5? I could have sworn we did.
Oh, is that still the tournament arc?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Then yeah, I'm up on that.
Frieren, that is. Not,
Yeah, Frieren.
not Golden Kamui.
Not like Golden Kamui.
Can't
Gosh,
imagine
a
Golden Kamui.
tournament arc. I mean, they have a thing where they have like a bare knuckle brawl, and it's like this big. It's exciting. It's also very gay, but it's great.
As all bare knuckle brawls are.
Yeah, no, I've never seen. I know this is such a tangent, but Golden Kamui is the first manga I've ever read that is very like shonen, or what's the one that's technically for adults, because I saw it listed there.
Oh, seinen.
Seinen. I would say it's kind of seinen. I don't think it's really for children. Where it's just like there are women in it and they're fine, but like the ogling eye is on the men, and it's like this is a new experience. I've never had that just happen in just like a quote unquote normal thing that wasn't specifically like
JoJo?
erotic or
Well,
pornographic.
JoJo, the Steel Ball Run marked JoJo's transition from Shonen Jump to the monthly one for an older audience.
Would not be
It took
surprised.
that long?
Yeah.
Jeez.
Like, okay, because, like, okay, still this tangent. Like, JoJo, like, they are hunks, but I never get, like, there's never, like, this is a gaze. And it's like, there's some shots with those guys where it's like, we are gazing at some hunks, let me
I'll
tell
tell you what. If that's what you're into, manhwa. Yeah.
No, I'm good. It's more of like a, wow, this is really novel. I've never come across this in my normal, anime manga consumption.
Well, if you are interested in it, you should definitely check out Heroin Addiction.
Yeah, no, I keep up with it. Maybe the listener, I was about to say the viewer,
Yeah.
the viewer with your ears should also check out Heroin Addiction if you're into maybe something off your normal beaten path, or maybe right up your alley. I don't know. I don't know what you read or watch.
I'll tell you what,
Not your dad.
I did not realize that I would be into that until I got into the villainous manga, and then I went over there and started reading a couple of them, and I was like, oh damn, this shit is fire.
This is my new thing.
So guys, I started reading this new manga on Viz. I forget the name of it actually, but maybe you've seen it. So it's about these teenagers, and they discover that they have like some special abilities, and then there's like demons, and they have
Jujutsu
to
Kaisen?
fight these demons.
Demon Slayer?
No,
Black Exorcist?
No.
Blue Exorcist?
no, it's a different color.
That Dora the manga that I've been reading that I forgot about because I can't read it on the Viz app because it's also not for children. Not Dora, because that one got canceled.
Wait a minute. So you're telling me that there's that many different manga that all have the same premise
Happening at the same time.
on
some
the
sort of-
same platform?
Localized entirely within this app.
Can I see it?
No, you may not. Actually, yes.
Well, and to stave off these questions, I'm not actually reading a new one. However,
I did,
Andrew did,
which
recently,
is what sparked this.
And there's a post up on our blog. You should check it out, animepodcasterreincarnation.com. But it brought up this interesting topic, which is how many demon fighting teenager manga and anime can we possibly have at the same time?
I mean, an infinite number of them, I guess. Maybe not infinite, monkeys at typewriters and whatnot, but
Inuyasha, Yu Yu Hakusho.
yeah. It's been going for a long and I don't know, maybe it's always been going and I'm just in the zeitgeist now, but the idea was like I read, it's been a couple weeks now and I just could not keep reading it even out of spite. So I was just like, this is just so rote. But it was, what is it? It's like Demon Princess Tokyo Bride. It had a very isekai name or a light novel name, which just said exactly what it was on the tin with no creativity whatsoever. Not even a character's name. Just like, here's the situation. And just read the first chapter because I'd like opened up the Viz app and I'm like, oh, there's a new manga. I'm going to check it out so I can write a thing and be like Ben who writes these really great opening reviews. I love this. And then just hated it. Thought it was just so tropey and like everything's been done and not clear. Like just so by the numbers. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, okay, because anytime I have like an intense reaction to media like that, it's like, I need to see what the people are saying because I need to know if I'm crazy or not. And like a bunch of people are like, this is amazing. This is great. Like, I love this. I want to see where this goes. And it's just like, am I going crazy? And then I have to remember, which I have to remember with some of my other anime friends, it's like, I'm kind of an anime manga, like I'm becoming an elder statesman. Like I've been around enough that I've seen these things come around. I've seen these tropes and I've seen them done.
You're also way more picky than a lot of people.
True.
I was there 3,000 years ago when Tenchi Muyo.
Well, no, it's like now when you talk about Dragon Ball, people are like, oh, Dragon Ball, old man. Like, but it's the
Naruto's so much better.
No, that happened to me. That actually
Those are
happened
both
to me.
Still coming out today.
But it's that idea of just like, if it's your first time running into a trope, it's fresh. Mm-hmm. But when it's not, you're just tired of it because it's just because you don't know I mean, obviously the things that we probably loved were stolen from other things older than those things, and we didn't know. But like, that's the heart of this, is this idea of just like your appreciation or opinion of something is shaped so much by what you've already seen. And if you somehow get to something and it's your first taste of it and everybody's like, oh yeah, this is the most tropey thing. But if it's fresh to you, it instantly shoots up your list because you're like, wow, this is amazing. Because it's all these tropes just like honed to their point.
I think there's two sides to this. And I think it might be a 50-50, although I'm leaning towards maybe 80-20 in your favor. So the one side being you're too picky.
Yeah.
As Isekai Sensei-Sama, who reads hundreds and hundreds and hundreds.
Absolutely not picky.
And hundreds.
Whatever the opposite of pickiness is.
And hundreds. And hundreds.
And hundreds.
And hundreds of different series. Half of which are the exact same thing. There's definitely a level of trope that you just go, this is what I'm into. On the other hand, I do agree, even looking at the stuff that I read and enjoy, that there's just way too much of the same thing. When I can read 3 separate series that are in every way but the art style identical,
sometimes not even the art style,
there's
too much of it. I'll still read them, but
there's a thing I've noticed as I get older. You seek out new things when you're young because everything is new. So you're always chasing like a fresh new experience. And then as you get older, you've found a lot of things that you like, and you kind of have to make a choice now. Do I spend my limited time seeking a new thing, or do I stick with what's comfortable? And I kind of have an isekai thing, I guess, in like cheesy horror movies. Yeah. Like I could watch any like 60s, 70s drive-in horror movie. They're all the same. They're all terrible. I could write it like from scene 1. I could just write the rest of the movie. But I find that vibe comfortable.
comforting.
Yeah.
I want to add that because I feel like that's a little bit more of a
I think
good way to put it.
I think you're spot on, because there's this thing with the isekai stuff that I like where I go, I want to read new ones that are doing something different, but I also still want it to be an isekai with medieval fantasy bullshit in it, because it's like you want both. You want something new, you want the variety, but you also want that nostalgia and comfortability.
It's the familiarity. I mean, we opened on this with the whole like teenagers fighting demons is like freaking everywhere. Like I want a good chunk of the like shonen ones that are in Shonen Jump right now are that or have failed out or something. And it's like I love some of those. I love Jujutsu Kaisen. I remember the name. I love Dawn to Dawn. Demon Slayer is pretty cool. Like because that one's got a little bit like not modern teen thing.
Yeah.
But I like there is a certain
amount
of
it. That's exactly it, isn't it? Is that you're taking the trope and you're applying it in different ways, but all of the
that one's more of a
there.
genre than a trope. There was other tropiness to Tokyo Demon Bride Princess. Those 4 words in some order. I don't quite remember it now. It's been a couple weeks. My rage has left me. But like that was a combination of like I've seen this. Like you're not showing me anything new, and the things you're showing me that the other things besides just that genre that you're showing me are all tropey garbage that I like actively don't like. Not that like you can't have tropes, because like anime is built on tropes. One of the reasons I love anime is that you take ideas from one to the other and you're like, oh, I know what that means, or we're having a tournament arc, or here's like it's the joy that I get of like here are all the ways that Jujutsu Kaisen does Naruto, but in a way that I like instead of a way that's dumb. Like there's parallels all over the place, but there's certain like reoccurring elements that I guess in the same way that a genre, like you're like, okay, I'm getting tired of this. There's certain tropes that show up over and over again that are just like, it's like a rock in your shoe. And every time you see it, the rock gets bigger and pointier and sharper, where it's just like, guys, this sucks. Why are you still doing this? Like because it's the thing of the rage is coming back to me. You can hear it. I'm getting louder. Good job editing this later, Brad. It's like, the main characters, he's in his late teens. He might even be in his early 20s, or he's might out of school. I don't know. Everything's freaking teenagers in school, which is another trope that I'm tired of, but I think that's just because I'm getting older. And that's
well, they can't be old enough to have jobs yet. How else are they going to fight demons?
I know. Well, no, he's got a job. He's not in school. He's got a job. And it's the like, here's this woman trying to force herself into his life, and she's back, and she's like, we made a promise back when we were children. And he's like, okay, I guess, but please leave. Like, and he's just a bored. He's just like, I don't like you, please leave. And there's like no charisma, there's no chemistry, and it's like, why would I want to spend time with somebody who was just a lame downer, who specifically was about like being as like, oh, I guess she's like just the most teenage angsty possible. And while the girl's like, wah, and like all this action, it's like, I'm going to show you the secret power I have, and here's all the ways I can be good to you, master. And it's like, I'm not a child. I don't want to read this anymore. Why is this here? Because there's other things that like are in Shonen Jump that I love that aren't like that. Those pop up occasionally, but aren't just like, did you just like look up a book of tropes and like genre things and just stick to it to the letter and had no original thought? Like, and I guess that's my rage is coming. I'm going to slow down. So yeah, so it's basically, I feel like this is, some of it is like when you see a bunch of genres and over again, and some of it is tropes, and some of it's just like, I'm tired of this, and some of this is like, I'm so done with this because I've seen it a bunch. It's like if freaking Grape Kid from My Hero Academia is your first weird pervert, on the grand scale, he's fine. He's not the worst. But when you keep running into perverts, they get more frustrating. If he's your first pervert, he's not as bad because you don't know there's like a system of perverts that you constantly have to deal with in anime.
It's interesting that you bring up first, because it makes me think like, because you mentioned like, you know, I'm not a child. I don't. Why is this here? I wonder if there's something about it where, because people are first getting into things, like there's people today, right now as we're recording this, who are reading a manga for the first time, and it makes me wonder if this genre bloat that we see sort of takes off from the fact that anime and manga is becoming more and more popular every single year, becoming more and more mainstream. And so you have way more people just getting into it. And there's something fulfilling about getting in on the ground floor of something, chapter 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 kind of thing, and going, hey, I'm into this, I like this, I'm going to go with it. And you've never run into those tropes before. This is your first teenagers fighting demons manga because you didn't read manga before, or the last manga that you read was a superhero thing or something like that. Which admittedly is very close, but
Yeah.
I mean, at the end of the day, I think with the horror movies, the manga, comics, anything like that, it's tough to get around the fact that like trash sells. People like trash. It doesn't challenge you. You can relax with it. It's just entertainment. And there's got to be, like, from the business angle, part of the reason they keep bringing these teenagers fighting demons thing into Shonen Jump is because it sells. It has always sold. It is a popular fantasy that we are part of a secret thing that is also very important and makes us very important and cool and powerful. And by the way, get that out of your system now because those high school entrance exams are coming up. And once you're in there, you're a salaryman and your life is over. Yep. And it's the same with like, I'll throw out there another non-anime example of like Twilight or something, where Twilight is trashy. There's a million things wrong with it from like a moral perspective. And you can forgive it once because it's your trash. It hit you at the right time. And you're
speaking from experience.
I am speaking from experience. I do like Twilight. It's very new metal. It's the new metal Interview with a Vampire. And I like it.
Hey, Interview with a Vampire still holds up.
Yeah, this is just the new metal version of it.
Well, and they're remaking Interview with a Vampire again.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there's a new show coming out.
I'm presumably with Tom Cruise.
No.
It should. Should. It should just be Tom Cruise and Brad Pitt again.
No. Well, they can't age.
Oh, and Kirsten Dunst.
$1 billion show that
Have
no
you
one
seen them
watched.
recently? They don't age.
I've seen him digitally de-aged as per his contract. No,
He's a little pixie man.
I on one hand, I want to say, like, I think of all the things that are like rip-offs of Dragon Ball Z, and I'll say Dragon Ball Z because that was my first shonen battler. Like One Piece, I think Oda would even say he owes a lot to Toriyama. Some of his style is even similar to Toriyama. Like Luffy is kind of a Monkey King type character. Now, Toriyama didn't...
Literally is named Monkey.
Yeah, Toriyama didn't invent the Monkey King, but there is always kind of a Monkey King. There's always this wacky, strong guy that likes to fight who has a heart of gold. That's always going to be a thing that sells. So, like, I don't begrudge the One Piece kids their Monkey King. Like, I think you need to make some minor tweaks, but other than that, the story's perfectly serviceable. You just need to make it new for a new generation.
Do you know how old One Piece is?
I do, yes. But it's also probably going to be wrapping up eventually.
I thought you were going to say soon, but eventually was even funnier.
I was going to say Oda is going to crumble into dust at some point.
We are supposedly moving into the last arc. We literally just started.
So only 10 more years.
The last arc.
Yeah. I was going to say 5 years, realistically. I could
Probably
see
5. Dressrosa was, 3 years?
Oh, my God.
Yeah. But then there is the Tenchi Muyo thing, where it's like, I didn't hate Tenchi Muyo when it was on Toonami, but again, there were only 4 anime I could watch at that point because that's how long the Toonami block lasted. And if you didn't want to watch it on Toonami, then you had to go to the video store and pay like $20 for 4 episodes on VHS or DVD. And so you learn to like things that you wouldn't otherwise like. And now
it's like $60 today.
now as an adult, I think Tenchi Muyo is kind of cringy. And so I think this Demon Bride thing, I don't like that trope. And it doesn't work for me, and I wish they'd do something more with it. Like, I could tolerate it the first time.
Yeah, that's what this idea is. Yeah. It's the fact that, like, the first time you come across these things, they are fresh, so even if you don't like them, it's just like, okay, whatever, I'll deal with this. There's something cool in here, or just, I want to see what this is doing. But it's like, as you get older and as you take on more of these things, and you've been to this house before, you've seen these tricks before, you're just like, there's not enough keeping me here against me being frustrated at these things that I keep running into and keep not liking.
So I guess the one thing I wanted to ask then is like, I'm sure the like Tenchi Muyo, the harem thing, and I'm sure that demon bride thing is gonna. Again, I could write that from the next one. There's going to be
the first demon they fight is like a cute frog fish girl. Like 100%, there's going to be more.
There's going to be another one, and then he's going to accidentally have been engaged to 2 girls.
It's again, written decades ago. Like, done with it.
Yeah, but how do we balance that story should continue to exist and be retold for a new audience? Because you don't want to run into the problem with like Star Wars, where Star Wars has become so precious to old nerds that they cannot allow it to be significantly remade for a new generation.
Yeah, they tried that and everybody threw a fit. Not everybody. People I don't like threw a fit.
Yeah, and so I don't want to be that guy. I don't want to be like, no, you just need to watch Dragon Ball Z. It's peak. It's as good as it gets, because it's not.
No,
it's not.
No.
And you do need to update that story and go ahead and make one that's very, very similar. But at the same time, I would like to see innovation. I like my trashy horror movies, but I also like when there's a really artsy horror movie that does something challenging and new.
There's something really strange going on here because, okay, I have a couple different thoughts. Okay. Before I lose this one, because this is probably the least important one, is, you talk about, you can't remake Star Wars, right? Because...
Well, you can, but...
Right, you don't want to piss off the old nerds.
You should, though.
To which I say, like, if they make new Star Wars, the old Star Wars still exists.
That's where I am with this. I don't care if Shonen... There will come a point, though, where I do stop reading Shonen Jump. But then again, it is marketed to 14-year-old boys.
Yeah.
Which I am growing further and further from.
And so, I think that's that's sort of the other point, which is, how do we draw a line between, like, this is something that's just objectively not good, and it's not good because of the overuse of these tropes and stuff, versus this just isn't for me.
Some of these tropes always sucked. The pervert character
always sucked.
It was always bad.
But those teenage boys need to be able to put themselves in someone's shoes.
If they find themselves relating too hard to that grape guy, they should seek help.
You don't need an insert to do that. If there's already, the cheesecake is already happening, it will be ogled by the reader. You don't need an insert for that, making me feel worse about it. I think something hit me, because we're talking about, like, not the, it's like, it's the new generation's thing. I'm getting older. This isn't my thing. And the metaphor, the comparison that hit me, which I don't know if it will resonate with either of you two, so this might be really specific, is when anytime there was a new character announced back in the day for Smash Brothers, where it's like, somebody is going to fill this spot, I want it to be somebody that I like. And anytime somebody that I did not like showed up or did not care about, or was like, this is an Echo Fighter, it's frustrating, because there's this feeling of,
like,
because this is specifically shown in Jump.
From Fire Emblem.
6, you're funny. 6 is a low number to how many there are now. It's like literally, I remember one day before there was a Nintendo Direct about that, where I'm like, I hope it's not a sword user, and I hope it's not a Fire Emblem character. And it was both of those things, and I wanted to strangle my friend. But I think it's with Jump specifically, because if it's just a manga I don't care about, I just won't look at it. But it's this concept of, like, Jump has some of my favorite things going on. It's a way of giving me new things. We got a Kane Banashe earlier this year, and I love that freaking manga to death. And it's this idea of, like, hey, here's this new one. It's that sense of excitement. And then it's just like, oh, this is what it is. This reheated piece of meat that's been going around. This is the hot dog that's been stuck on the freaking little heater thing at the gas station for years now.
Well, and I think
instead of this slot for something cool and new and exciting to happen.
But that's it. That's the slot. Like,
that's the idea of the slot. This is why we got shifted to the Smash Brothers conversation.
Right.
Is this taking up a thing? Technically, the answer is no.
Because if you
that's
think
not what
about,
it feels like.
You go back to, like, the Toonami thing, where you only had 4 slots for Toonami. You only had so much shelf space at the video store. But, like, we live in an age where everything's digital and you can have as much of anything, and it comes down to, is someone going to publish it or not?
Yeah, I was going to say, you can have Shonen Jump can run digitally as many properties as they want, but at the end of the day, there is still a limited marketing budget. They can only push so many. They can only support
Right.
so many creators. And there is a business side to this of it. Shonen Jump was never in the business of being the cool underground experimental magazine. Shonen Jump is like cold hard cash. We need our battler. We need our kids fighting demons. We need our comedy series.
We need the romance series.
Yeah.
It does
We got to
seem
keep all
like,
that going.
especially on Viz, like there's a lot of different series that are, I wouldn't say very similar, but similar enough that you would sort of lump them together that are running concurrently.
Yeah.
They also have their like other spots because things like Don to Don and Spy Family aren't actually like they're on Viz, but they're not actually in Shonen Jump proper.
Right. Yeah, yeah.
They're
Well,
just under that banner and
I don't
wherever the
even-
heck they're hosted.
Like Spy Family isn't in Shonen Jump proper. It's in whatever their online only.
yeah, it's like an online thing.
So I think Shonen Jump is doing a good job of like being open to new things, but at the same time they know they don't really have a My Hero replacement. They sure do not have a One Piece replacement.
No, I mean they got some time before that happens, but yeah,
They
it's-
do, but I mean One Piece has been like succeeded beyond anyone's imagining. It is like sold more copies than Batman, will likely sell more copies than Superman. It is like the comic of the 21st century, and they don't want to lose that. But that guy is going to burn out because Shonen Jump very much does.
He doesn't. Yeah, he does not have. He is going to leave this mortal coil when he's done. I don't think he has anything else inside of him. I really want him to live. I like Oda, but like I think he's.
Can you
just,
imagine him making another series though that follows One Piece?
No.
Well, it would have to be
I mean,
like
look at
One Piece
Toriyama
the
trying
beginning,
that.
right? It would have to follow Roger. If to be a prequel.
I mean, I might get a hint of that when the movie
Yeah,
comes out.
we need
that
One
It's from
Piece
America.
Super where Luffy got married and
I mean, he could literally just spend his
Somehow
days
had
writing
child.
stories in other parts of the One Piece universe because it's massive and he's been thinking about all of it for ages.
they meet up. The crew meets up again after 10 years. Luffy has a kid, and then Luffy's brother comes down,
and
and
the aliens come.
he was an alien the whole time.
Likely, I don't know. I still don't know what this freaking Wheel of D thing is. We're getting on One Piece topics too much. I think it's because you said it's because like that's the thing of like Shonen Jump, and it's like it's not the experimental place, and I think it's I'm trying to remember. It's like this. Is it Skinner Box where it's like the rat pushes on the thing, and sometimes it gets a treat, and sometimes it
Yes,
doesn't.
That's exactly what.
Like
that is.
Jump in the past and technically currently has brought me great joy. Again, all the things we've talked about. I love freaking reading Jujutsu Kaisen. I love Akane Banashi. I love Sakamoto Days. I love Spy Family. I love Don to Don. I love freaking Golden Kamuy. Like, it's brought me things that I really enjoy that I've been keeping up with.
I think Mashl's pretty cool.
I made the same eye-rolling sound effect for Kaiju number, whatever the heck it is. Love Potion number 9. I hope the anime is good. But it's this, like, hey, every time there's a new series, there's a possibility I get a new joy that gets to enter my life.
Yeah.
And when it's not just like, but like actively like this spits in my soup, I think I just get like, I mean, it's not spitting in my soup. It's freaking words on a page. And I know like the big lesson of all of these is like, this is, like you said, this is a thing. This is a comic series made for teenagers. If I'm getting that up about it, my life priorities are out of balance. So that's why it's like all of these arguments and uppityness have to always be built under that house, under that roof of this doesn't matter really. But it's that I get extra frustrated because it's like this is the window that has served me really delicious meals in the past and still does. Like Akane Banashi being a newer thing and the other ones being new when I started them, give me always hope that there's that like, oh man, when's the next like unexpectedly gourmet dish going to come out of the window? And sometimes I'm served Tokyo Demon Bride Princess, and I'm like, this isn't even cooked fully, guys. Like, this is a burger, and you didn't finish cooking it. And this is the window that I go to. And maybe that's my thing. Maybe I need to go find more windows to look in, but I also don't have time to look in and find every window.
Well, I want to be clear though, because I'm not defending the manga none of us can remember that we all read, I think, which is
didn't
Tokyo
read it.
Demon Bride Princess or something.
Brad, despite being the biggest consumer of trash, didn't read it.
I read it, and
Which pisses me off. You should read it, Brad.
No, I read it, and I agree. It sucks.
No,
Thank you.
no, but now if I
appreciate
start
being seen.
I'll start reading it and I'll be like, oh, this isn't too bad. I'll keep reading this.
There'll just be more things for me to beat you up about on the podcast.
It's not like awful. Like some of the art is awful, actually. But
I get side note on all like the trope things. I genuinely get confused what is happening sometimes
Yeah.
because it is not clear of action and movement or who's speaking.
I have a lot
Which
of
I have not had in manga in a long time where I was actively confused and not like the Jujutsu Kaisen way where it's like, this dude knows what he's talking about and I am too dumb to pick up on it. It's like basic things of like, who's talking? Where are we now? Has time passed or not? I can't tell. These just like the panel work is just not
I
good.
have a problem with. I had that problem with another kids fighting demons, except this time it was aliens, which is Aliens Area.
I remember you. Yeah, I remember
Yeah,
you doing that.
and that
review.
was another one where like the artist is obviously not like an incompetent artist, but there are panels that need redone. That obviously like there was a deadline or something, and they had to turn them in because there are panels that are just wrong. Like the anatomy is wrong, the proportions are wrong.
That doesn't shake me. I just want to be able to understand what's going on, and
But
when I'm
now-
confused to what's happening or the flow of not even action, literally just them talking in a house, and I can't tell when we've like changed scenes or somebody else is talking or time has passed.
There's
Or I feel like I'm missing. There's like a couple frames of the film that are just missing, and I'm like, I feel like somebody talked in the middle here, but I didn't hear it.
I think there's something about redraws though, because Murata, who does One Punch Man,
Just gonna say.
will post about how like, oh, today's the redraw day, and he redraws like certain panels. So I think there is time for that. So if you're looking at something that's in Shonen Jump already, then that to me says that someone didn't care.
Every Shonen Jump, I'm sympathetic to it because every Shonen Jump first issue is 50 pages. As opposed to like the 15 pages.
Yeah, it
that
gives
a normal
you
weekly
get like a
chapter is.
big. You get the let's set everything up. We don't have to wait for another week, another chapter. It's just here is my pitch.
So I don't know how much time they're given between the like, hey, congratulations, you're in Shonen Jump. I need it on my desk next week.
Yeah.
I could see that happening, and I'm not going to fault the artist for that. But the big problem was it's not specifically that I hate seeing the tropes done over and over again, but I can tell you right now that I know most people in Shonen Jump want to be long-running series. Like each of these series is trying to pitch itself to you as something you're going to read every week for possibly years. And they're doing it with absolutely no soul, no artistic merit. It's just like, it's like an AI arranging the tropes. And so that is like,
Don't say that because that's going to start happening.
well,
soon.
it's
AI,
what,
you're going to read so much AI written isekai, Brad. Don't tell me otherwise.
it's what an editor is doing.
I
An
wonder if I
editor
could
is
do
like,
that now. I could probably write my own,
you
or
could.
rather, prompt an AI to write it for me.
Yeah, you could probably write one. I mean, we could collectively sit down. Maybe sometime we'll just sit down and like bullshit out an isekai.
that time I got
concept.
reincarnated as a isekai writing AI.
Oh my God. What if that happens to me?
You're preparing for
Is
it
that a
now.
punishment or a reward?
If all I get to do is write trashy isekai, that is a punishment.
Okay.
If there's
Yeah,
other perks,
he's got to read
Trashy.
some at some point.
yeah, if there's other perks, then it's this.
Okay.
But like, I think my problem is with the Tokyo Demon Bride, whatever. It's a trope that was never good, much like with the pervert.
It's a trope that
character.
we never liked.
I mean, it was never good. Like, I'll even admit my trashy
some
horror
of it.
movies, a lot of them are never good. If you're relying super heavily on like gore and jump scares,
Oh, good versus do we like it? Okay.
Yeah.
No, it's not good.
it was never good.
But they're zeros. They're not negative tens.
And now you're coming in here, and what are you bringing to the table? Like, some of these tropes do need to die. And in my opinion, one that we could stand to lose, a big one, is the pervert trope. Like the Master Roshi, the little guy with the, I don't know his name, the grape guy from
Grape Cry,
Minata.
Minata.
Yeah.
Minata, yeah.
Sanji.
Minata.
If I hate Minata so much that if I bought the comics, I would erase him from them.
Who's the pervert in Naruto? Naruto's a pervert. Jiraiya's his teacher's a pervert.
Jiraiya
Kakashi's technically
definitely
a pervert.
is. Kakashi sort
But none of the
is.
kids are like Grape Kid, right?
Naruto is not really, but he leans into it with sexy jutsu.
There's no like actual. I mean, it's been a while since I've done One Piece. Or, no, it's been a while since I've done Naruto, so maybe I'm just forgetting the like.
Yeah.
Here's the pervert in the Master Roshi Grape Kid. Other ones that I can't think of, but I know I've experienced.
But I think, like, if you're talking about the shonen battler, the guy who loves to fight trope, the big energy battles.
I love those. That's a trope that I love, even though they're overdone.
Dragon Ball Z did that with like a wacky sci-fi twist. Naruto brought in kind of like a weird emotional honesty to the genre, where like Naruto is like a sad boy.
Remember, Bren? I did an entire panel on this about the
Yeah.
evolution from hero to what was I'm going to say sad boy now, even though I said something else. Edgelord, a sad boy edgelord to good boy.
But then like Luffy
Feeling
is
good boy.
Sweet
Luffy
boy.
in One Piece is like a joyful thing. It's
Literally,
like, yeah,
Recent events is the most literal statement.
Spoilers.
Now. And spoilers, admittedly.
yeah. But I would describe it that way even before that, because that's what Luffy is.
Yeah.
He's there to have fun. He evaluates people solely based on their like.
Did he plan that the whole time?
He's a hero. He's a hero from a bygone era in a universe that is the other two tropes. It is both. One Piece is both edgy and good boy.
Yeah.
But Luffy's just the basic hero. He's not basic, but of my taxonomy that I had then. I don't remember the naming exactly, but
So they each put their little spin on it.
yeah.
But I'm thinking like with things like Aliens Area or Demon Bride Tokyo, it's like they're saying like, this is what I'm doing, and give me time and maybe I can make something out of it.
I mean, there was that one kids fighting demons one that I don't. It's like it was like it started with like AK. It's like a Kajimoji. I don't know. I don't have my phone in front of me. It got canceled then, but I remember reading the first couple of chapters and I loved it because it's like this guy knows all the tropes of being a shonen hero and freaking loves it. And he's like, oh man, dude. And he's like getting excited like he's like Goku. And I'm like, I love this because as somebody who is aware of a lot of the tropes, having a main character who's like into playing it up. So instead of being like, no, I don't want to be here, he's like, this freaking rules. Like, that was like a fun, fresh take on it. I didn't follow up on it then. It also got canceled then, so clearly it had nothing else to say.
I'll
but
tell you what,
that was a trope that was like resonated with me. I'm like, this is really fun. He's making jokes about freaking Kenshiro stuff, and I'm like, this rules. Instead of like it's just like in that way, it was very refreshing to not see the teens being like, oh, I don't know if I can be up for this or this sounds scary, and just be like, hell yeah, let me tag in there. And I'm like, yes, that's the freshness that I needed, was just like this breath of fresh air of like, we don't need to spend this time where it's like, no, I don't think so. So yeah, I mean, see where that got that one. So
if you like that though, you probably like the recent few chapters of Chainsaw Man.
I still need to read. I started rereading it, and then I was not doing great emotionally, and I said I can't read Chainsaw Man right now, but I think I'm doing better. So I think I'm going to try to pick that baton back up and keep rereading through it, because it's like I needed to reacclimate myself, both for the anime and for part 2 or whatever we want to call it.
It's been surprisingly light so far.
That makes me worried.
Yeah, it's going to get bad.
I know Chainsaw Man, and that worries me greatly.
I think it's going to get bad next week.
Oh, it's going to be a while until I get there. But
there's still the undertones, and maybe it's just because I know the world now, but like there's still the undertones of this is a depressing world.
Oh yeah.
What's that freaking Limp Bizkit song line? Everybody sucks, everything's fucked. Like, that's Chainsaw Man world for me. As much as I love Chainsaw Man, it's very just like, this is bleak. Do we have a closing? I guess here. Let's let's try to bring this home.
What do we want them to do? I guess is the thing. Or like, is it we go our own way, or should they?
It's always the same thing, which is like
we can't control the corporation, so I have to choose something else.
It's like consume things objectively, but like do what you want because it's ultimately entertainment for your enjoyment.
Be frustrated. Have feelings and opinions about things. I guess it's like here's my last little tag denouement conversation starter. Was it better that I read something that pissed me off as opposed to something that made me feel nothing?
I would say
I feel nothing a lot, so
I would say this.
Wait, where do you fall, Ben? That's what I'm Brad. I want to know where you fall. Then, if you said you don't normally feel, do you want to feel things or do you not want to feel things?
I mean, it really depends. Some days I'll read a chapter of something, and I come out of it going, I didn't want to read that. I didn't want to feel those feelings. I don't like this right now. And then
is it like uncomfortable? Because I'm saying specifically like pissed off, like not like you had a good time, not that like you read
it's
something.
So difficult.
Not
to
that
piss
you
me
read
off.
something like
I don't even
uncomfortable
know.
or heavy or something where like literally just like. It's like would I have rather had something that I had no feelings about or something that pissed me off?
Okay.
I hated it hated it so much it came bubbling out of me. Even 3-4 weeks later, thinking about it.
A good example for you. I left a comment on a manhwa yesterday. You can go. You can go out and find it on Bato.
Yeah, don't comment on our stuff. Just find Brad's comments. That's what you got to do. Comment on that.
That I literally said, I am only reading this because I need closure. Because it's terrible. It is a terrible series. But I'm going to keep reading it because that saintess who's a bitch needs to get her comeuppance, and they're taking forever. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know. Sometimes, yeah, I want to feel nothing from it but keep reading it. Sometimes I'm really pissed off about it. I don't know.
I don't want to applaud artists who do things that piss me off when they intend to be cute with it. Like that, as much as I like My Hero Academia, that Mineta character, he should die, like in a fire. There's a lot of people that die in fires in My Hero Academia.
There's a lot of people who control fire.
And every time it's not him, I'm angry.
Just smother him in his sleep.
Like, no, I mean, he should die. That's how much I hate him, and that's not his intention. He likes that character. That character is meant to have some redeeming quality, and he doesn't.
It's not enough.
So in that case, I think it's a failure. But when it comes to like what I want Shonen Jump to do,
when you're consuming something new.
By the way, can I just say that might be your strongest opinion I've ever heard.
Yeah,
Applaud.
but
except for your opinion on Ernest Cline.
I do have a lot of opinions on Ernest Cline. I also have a lot of opinion on fan translation notes, but I want them to give the kids battling demons thing some breathing room, because like with horror had a crash. The whole like drive-in horror scene that I love, it died. It lost to the thriller, the serial killer, the crime thing.
Is a crash required then? Does something
I think
the bubble
if
have
it
to
goes
burst?
up, it must come down.
I think it is bursting. I think after One Piece, after Jujutsu Kaisen, after My Hero Academia, I don't know what replaces those. Nothing is
like
sticking.
Demon Slayer's done.
Nothing is sticking. All of these are getting, they're failing. They're not catching the generation that's coming up right now. Because like what's catching the generation coming up right now is still One Piece.
Spy Family.
I mean, Spy Family's popular, I think, with an older crowd.
Yeah, I guess that's.
I don't think the 14-year-old boys are going for.
I mean, also it's not in Shonen Jump, but it's like I don't know. Like that's one where it's like it's like I hear and see it a lot, but it's not making the same sales numbers as the things we listed: One Piece, Jujutsu Kaisen, Demon Slayer, My Hero Academia. Like those are selling gangbusters. I don't know how many Spy Families sold. I just know it's word of mouth, especially in America. It's very popular.
Shonen Jump needs like little kids aren't pretending to be Lloyd on the playground. That's what I'm saying.
No, they'll pretend to be your.
they're not.
I think they pretend to be the adults.
I don't think they're into like the waifu family fantasy. I think they want to be Luffy still.
No, she's a kick-ass assassin.
And he's like a cool spy. And you ever play spies when you were a kid? I don't know if I ever played spies when I was a kid, but like that's a thing that kids do, right? They play cool. Like he's a cool super spy and he fights things. And they haven't seen him play tennis yet, but one day they'll see him play tennis, and it's going to be a great episode.
Oh, I hope that's in this.
Is that this season?
I sure hope so.
Maybe. Gosh, tennis. I love
It's
that
gonna be the
we keep
best.
talking. Like if you've never read Spy Family, like every time it comes up, we talk about the tennis arc, and just so jazzed about it.
But I would say like when they had Dragon Ball, Akira Toriyama became he did all the Dragon Quest, which are also the biggest, most selling games of.
Yes, disgustingly so. I hate them.
Yeah. Well, I like them, but I don't think they're as good as Japan thinks they are.
That's why I hate them.
Yeah. But I don't see that. Naruto occupied that space for a bit. But Boruto isn't catching.
No.
I am going to bring into something that I don't want to bring up towards the end of this topic, but because it might be its own episode then, but I could maybe point some of that at the death of the monoculture.
Well, that is another episode, I think. That is a good one, though.
Stay tuned for year 2 of that time I got reincarnated in the same world as an anime podcaster. Speaking of perverts.
What a transition. What a story, Mark.
So,
Brad, you're making me nervous.
there's this isekai that I like. It's called Parallel World Pharmacy. I've talked to you guys about it before. Yes. The anime of it just finished its first season. It's about a medical researcher who's like, a genius. He gets reincarnated into another world, and he has all his medical knowledge, but he also gets the blessing of the god of pharmacology in this other world. And so he has like the superpower that allows him to create compounds like out of thin air if he knows their molecular structure. So manga's been coming out for a while. The anime just came out, which is, just the first arc really. But, it's a series that I really enjoy. It's fun. It's got a lot of actual real world knowledge in it that they mix in with like the fantasy and magic of it. It's enjoyable.
What does this have to do with perverts?
Yeah.
So making me really nervous.
Please tell me he doesn't make like Rohypnol or something.
So, before he was isekai'd, he was like 28 or whatever, the standard like, oh, I've been working in this field for a long time.
I've been working in nondescript business, or I don't work at all.
And then he gets reincarnated, and I think the kid is like 12 or something like that. Maybe a little bit older, but probably not. And so, actually, he might be younger than that. I don't even remember. Not super important. Until recently, because the second arc has completed, and they built a big bathhouse.
Okay.
And so I'm reading the latest chapter of this series, and as I said, it's a medical isekai. It's got some real world stuff in it. It's fun. It's fairly lighthearted. There's some heavy stuff in terms of like diseases and stuff, but pretty standard and shonen, I would say.
Okay.
So I'm reading the latest chapter, and they're like, oh, there's this bathhouse now. Like, how cool is that? And I turn the page, and what do you see? Just tits. Just so many tits.
Just been saving up all that energy.
All over.
Had it been, I don't know how much I want to freaking stick my foot in any of this. Had it been horny before at all?
No, not at all.
Not even like clothed, just
not
like,
even close.
Not even horny gaze.
I
Like,
swear
there's a lot
to
of times
God,
you see an art shot and you're like, this was written for horny. And it's like, sure, fine, whatever.
I kid you not, okay? I clicked, and the new page loaded, and I literally said, what the it was so out of left field.
So I got to ask you the all-important anime question, and this will determine whether or not it was hentai. Did they have nipples?
Yes, but...
Whoa.
But I don't know...
That's more like that wasn't a judgment world.
I don't know if the Scanlation group added that, or if that was in the original. Because they do that.
In the nipples.
No, they do that.
What?
The Scanlator groups will add in nipples.
Somebody's got a fetish.
Which is like, I mean,
that's weird.
Good for them, I guess. They do a good job. It looks good.
There's some guy who spent his whole life adding nipples to this. He's like the Da Vinci of nipples.
So
the Da Vinci of nipple photoshopping.
So I can't really say like, oh, the artist who draws this series, which it was probably a light novel first, but the artist who draws this series was just like, it's been too long. I'm drawing nipples.
I gotta draw boobs.
If they didn't have nipples in the pardon my phraseology, raw, then it's practically a petticoat.
Okay, but and correct, but this series so far had absolutely no sexuality in it.
Well, this season he's making Viagra.
I do remember when you talked about this series and the anime was starting, we saw it there. I just constantly accused it, literally knowing nothing, that it was going to be really like corny. Because I think my brain just instantly went to whatever that weird Otherworld one where they go around reviewing brothels or something. And it just instantly, as soon as you said
interspecies reviewers.
Yeah, as soon as I did that
one's
like pharmacy, I just like, I was just like, for some reason my brain just clumped them together. So it's really funny that it wasn't at all that, and then just all of a sudden was just like, here's some boobers.
So I will say, and just to be clear, there isn't actually a pervert in there. He's not like the main character. The
pervert's the one holding the book.
He was very much like, he was taking a bath first, and then all the girls came in. Oh. And so he was like, oh my God. And he had to like hide and like try and figure out a way to get out.
Classic.
Right.
Oh, there you go.
So they played it for laughs, but it was just so jarring to me. And I am someone who does not get surprised by tits. Just putting that out there.
Brad, where is this topic going? Is this literally just for you to soapbox about this one occurrence?
It's
okay.
Understand why so many series have to inject sexuality into them. This is a problem with isekai in general. There's a lot of series that don't
in general.
Yeah.
Right.
It's the history.
But they don't wear it on their sleeve like going into it like this is a harem. No. This is a harem isekai or whatever. Like you go into it going, "Oh, this is a fairly standard straightforward thing and we're going through it." And then we get to chapter 15 and all of a sudden this girl is throwing herself at the main character and she's got her tits out and it's just like, what why are we doing this?
It's a part of the DNA. I don't like it. As from our last segment, it's the stuff that I usually do not like. I'm not going to say I never like it. I am not some puritanical whatever, but most of the times it shows up, I go, I don't want this here.
Right,
This is not what I was looking for.
So I touched on this a little bit in one of our heroin addiction episodes, but no, it was actually the first one that we did, the intervention episode.
Okay. Yeah.
There's so many times where, you know, if I sign up for it at the beginning of like, this is a harem anime, when the tits show up, I'm like, okay, whatever.
Yeah.
Like, I signed up for that at the beginning. It's not necessarily what I want out of this, but like, I get it. It makes sense.
This is part of the ride that I am here for.
But
I made sure I was alone in the house. Nobody's going to, like, I'm not going to have a heart attack and die watching this.
I came to this partly for this. This is why I am here.
Yeah. But there's so many where they just inject it and it's just like, oh, here's the fan service part. Oh, look how hot. Oh.
Nope. Yep.
And
agree.
I don't get it. And this is what I said on that episode, which is like, I am an adult. If I want to see naked breasts, I will go and look for naked breasts.
You are not a 14-year-old boy anymore.
Yeah. I think that's probably the main...
Do 14-year-old boys have a hard time seeing naked breasts these days?
No, but it's nice to see them.
No, but a 14-year-old boy wants to see every breast naked.
Or just sexual shots.
If it's a attractive youngish woman he's been spending a lot of time with, he would not be disappointed if he knew.
I mean,
there was manga I read probably when I was a kid, whether I understood that was the reason why I was reading it or not, that I probably kept up with partially because of the cheesecake in it. I would be lying if I said otherwise. I'm also somebody that now is like, as I got older, I usually, as you said, do not like it when it shows up unexpectedly. And I feel like also usually because so many anime seem to cover younger people, especially students, I feel extra icky about it. But just in general, it's just like, I'm like, I know Konosuba is like kind of a weird situation where it's just like you're going along and it's just like, here's an aqua panty shot. I'm like, I didn't ask for this. I don't want this.
I think Konosuba tries to do that for laughs
I think is a
little
bit. But I think Konosuba is a little a smidgen self-aware because it's. I mean, that's like because it's the thing of like. To our segment 1 with Ben with your schlocky horror movies. It's like when I'm signing up for a B movie, go for it. I don't remember if I've referenced it on the podcast, but like there is a furry, horny battler called Killing Bites that I adore. It is trashy. It is fighty. There's boobers and whatnot everywhere. It is just incredibly horny at times. And I signed up for it, and I have a great time with it because I know that's what I'm going there partially, not entirely because of that, but that's like partially why I am there. And that's partially why I have a good time. But when it shows up in other things where I'm just like, I didn't ask for this. I don't want this here right now. I don't need this here right now. Please stop sexualizing young women. It makes me really uncomfortable when you do that.
And that's exactly it. And I feel like...
maybe that's the core of it, is usually these are children.
Well,
I don't want to see... It's... Because, okay, like when I'm a kid, I can laugh at the Dragon Ball bit where it's like... Goku's like, oh, you're a boy or you're a girl. And he essentially molests somebody. But now reading it now, it's just like, I can't jump through the mental gymnastics to make this. Like, I get it. I'm not going to come down on it super hard, but like, I personally can't do this anymore.
When you're a kid. So when I was a kid, young, like probably 10, I had watched Dragon Ball Z on Fox Kids. That's how
Dragon Ball Z was on Fox Kids?
That's how long ago this was.
I didn't even know about that.
And Fox Kids existed back then.
Yeah. And
the Fox box.
I was savvy enough at the time to be like into ROMs and emulators. And I downloaded a fan translation of a Dragon Ball RPG. I had not known anything about Dragon Ball. I started playing the Dragon Ball RPG, and I got to that scene with Goku and Bulma, and I was like, "That's weird." And then I got to the scene with Master Roshi and Bulma, and I was like, "Oh, okay, somebody. This is like a fake game. There's no way they could have done that. There's no way an old man just coerced a 16-year-old girl into flashing."
Yeah, like, because when you're a kid, you don't understand that. You're just like, this is weird, but whatever. And now as an adult, especially like way older than all of them, it's just like, this is really uncomfortable, guys. Like, I really wish you didn't do this.
My point
there's a lot
is,
of other fun things going on.
I was a kid, and I still thought it was inappropriate.
I don't remember how I felt watching or reading Dragon Ball when I was a kid, but I know other things I probably sailed over that I look back on now and I go, ooh.
I definitely sailed over. Like, I have in my possession the complete series of Love Hina. I have wanted to get rid of it for years. I don't want it in my house.
I don't burn it.
I don't want it. I have not been able.
I would love to see what a manga looks like burning.
I have not been able to bring myself to throw it away or just destroy it because I don't.
Let us know if you'd like to see that on our YouTube channel.
I don't.
I would love to watch a freaking manga book burn. I want to know what that looks like.
I can't destroy books. That's a thing I have. But at the same time,
I guess a book burning kind of has a bad connotation to it.
I will do it.
Just the one, though.
I'll give them to you if you want.
I love setting stuff on.
So
yeah, me too, bud. You have a fire pit. I've gotten into ceremonially burning things, and it's really great.
But no, I've come close. There's a bookstore around town that'll every Thursday they buy books, and I
thought you were going to say they burn their books.
no. Every Thursday they buy books, and they've been specifically looking for manga and graphic novels for their used section. And I keep wanting to bring that down, but I'm like, God, I have to show up in person. and somebody is going to see my face and see what I have. And I'm going to I can't tell them oh, I bought this when I was 14 and it's just followed me my entire life, but I'm 34 years old now almost.
I had to think about that for a second.
Yeah. And it's like, oh my God.
But I mean, as bad as that is, you go into that series expecting that.
But when you are younger, it is exciting, and I know it's the whole here on the internet you can see it, but it's like
some of it.
It's part of a story that makes it meaningful.
Some of it though straddles the line.
Oh,
because
definitely.
I remember back in the day. In anime communities, there used to be a thing. It's like, well, oh, that's Japan. They're just a different culture. They have a different relationship with nudity.
You say back in the day, people still wheel that out when it's like, she's a 1,000-year-old demon who just looks like a 6-year-old.
Yeah.
It's fine. It's part of their culture. And it's like,
you know what the other part of their culture is?
That's not cool. I don't care what your culture is. Please don't be a pedophile.
The other part of their culture is filming genitals will get you literally put in jail by the morality police. They're a weird.
Also, there's a morality police.
Yeah, they're a weird place, and if you go there and you talk to the women there, it's like, oh, it turns out no, the whole time they weren't cool with it. The whole time that was just what other lonely losers said It's like, oh no, Japan's different. We don't want to have
The only reason it exists in Japan is because they're too polite to say anything to the losers.
Literally, I read an interview from the guy who wrote Love Hina where he said, Japan is not America. We don't want America's political correctness here. And I was like,
oh, burn the books. It's not a problem, buddy. You don't even need to burn all of them. Just burn one of them. I just want to see one of them. The last one.
Oh,
the
but
middle
then I don't
one.
have the complete set. That's
Okay.
almost worse.
Okay, I didn't know. You just said you had it, and you had it for a while, bud.
No, I know. I don't. If I give them away, whatever you do with them, I'm not responsible
Brad,
for.
do you want to burn one of them?
I will torch the shit out of
I want
those
to see.
books.
Just let it slowly. The embers slowly eat it up.
Wait, how many volumes are there?
God, like 14.
Oh, we can do it so many different ways.
I'm excited. We need to make a yes. I'm in for this.
You can take Chobits while you're at it. I got weird feelings about Chobits.
It's very Ben. It is
Why do
very
you have all of
freeing. I like that
these?
this is like turning into like a secret Pyromaniacs podcast. It's very freeing to burn because it'll just be gone.
Yeah.
It's literally just in the ether.
Have you guys ever read Chobits?
I don't know
Do
what
you know
that
anything
is.
about
I've heard the name.
I have
That's
not
literally all
consumed it on purpose.
I know. What does that mean?
So she's a humanoid computer, right? Guess where
Do you even know? You don't even know what it is.
I don't know what Chobits
Oh
is.
my
I think
God.
I've literally just heard it talked about, but like I literally just all
yeah.
that's stored in my knowledge is the name.
You should probably describe it so no one has to look it up.
Okay, so Chobits is a manga by Clamp, which is actually an all-female team, I believe. And it is about persicoms, which are person-shaped computers. Most of them are just semi-intelligent, but not actually artificially intelligent.
Nervous.
Yeah, no,
I'm already very nervous.
Nobody has sex with them in the book, if that makes it better.
In the book.
It's
Slightly
heavily
better.
so, but the main character has a persicom that is artificially intelligent. Like she can be a real person, and they wind up falling in love and having a relationship. But guess where her on switch is?
In the it's Japan. Is it the boob? It's probably the boob.
South.
Okay, I started south, and then I'm like,
Yep.
no, boober, but no
Yep.
south. Yeah, I had a.
Yep. No, he looks everywhere and he can't find a way to turn her on, and then he finds a way to turn her on.
Oh, okay, it's cute, I guess.
I don't have the sound effect, but
Yeah. Yeah. So that's
And
another
then
one.
do the drive time radio of the me so horny.
No, I specifically remember being in 6th grade, waiting for like the next volume to come into the bookstore. And me and my friend went out and got it. And we came back and we read it, for the story as you do.
Yeah.
And then like very disappointed when the book ends with like a tasteful fade to black, like they fall in love, they get married or whatever, and then like, oh, it's over.
Oh, so it was literally just a bit. It was a little joke.
lucky for you,
Yeah.
there's a little thing called Rule 34.
I don't know.
Are we delving into that?
No.
I know we talked about the horny episode as a podcast topic, and I didn't know if it was happening now. We were unpacking the
I don't know if
entire.
this became the horny episode.
No,
I don't know if we're saving
wanted
that for later to unpack.
we can do that some other time. I want to make it very clear that I don't want all the way horny in my series. Unless that's the point,
Yeah.
to start
Yeah.
with. I'm very upset with Parallel World Pharmacy.
I think fan service.
Especially because I think it's really good. Like, it was so good. And then just out of the blue, they're like, you wanted to see tits, right? It's like, no.
Not even a
If I
beach
wanted to see
episode.
tits, I would have looked up some tits. I was reading this series about awesome medical superpowers.
Tits of characters you know.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, literally every single female character.
No.
It was egregious.
I'm sure a bunch of people wanted that, but that's the thing, is like fan service is almost an insult to me. Like, were you assuming that I was being a pervert right now?
Certainly an insult to me.
Yeah.
Because look, if I wanted to see any of those women, I say women, there were girls there too, but I didn't want to see those. If I did want to see any of those women, if I wanted to see their tits, I would have looked it up. I'm sure
The internet
there
would
is
provide.
Rule 34 of it somewhere. I would have gone out and I would have looked for it if that's what I wanted. I didn't want that in my medical superpowers isekai.
I mean, it's one of the reasons I love Jujutsu Kaisen. The artist specifically never sexualizes the women.
Right. And if you
And I
want
love I
the
wanted
sexuality
more
of those,
because of that, because they're like,
and if that's what you want, you have to go out and look for it.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
a
this is
normal
not-
person.
I think just to be clear, I think we are all on the same page as we are not kink shaming here.
Oh no!
This is not a
no.
kink-shaming podcast.
I'm specifically saying go out and look for it. It's everywhere. You can find it so easily.
I just don't need it here. I'm eating a sandwich. I don't need this right now.
And like
I'm shaming some kinks.
I am not like, you know, B18 and all that kind of shit. But like, you know, I look at porn. I'm not ashamed to say that.
Yeah,
I've already said it on this podcast. I'll say it on the main show right here, right now.
Literally a human being.
Yeah, like there's nothing wrong with that. There's something wrong with certain kinds, but
I mean that's some of what we're kind of doing about when we see it showing up in manga and anime.
And again, there's nothing wrong if that's the point of the series. There's the anime is coming out of this soon. I'm blanking on the name, but the whole point is the guy Dungeon Harem.
Harem's already the title.
Dungeon Harem.
Yeah, like you said Dungeon, and I'm like, I don't know about this. And Harem came up, and like Gar just instantly, Garbus came up and said, I don't think so.
Harem is in the title, and so when I was reading that, and the first time the dog woman like takes her clothes off, I'm like, okay, that makes sense. It's that's the point of the series.
It does what it says on the tin.
Right.
Yeah.
I really thought you were going to say that's the point of the dog woman.
I want to meet the.
Well, that too.
Is she cute?
Like a puppy.
I would. I can't recommend it to you because the dwarf girl is. Yeah.
More of a halfling.
We're not going to get into it.
Oh, small.
Yeah.
We're getting into the danger zone.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Please keep your horny out of spaces that you didn't tell me horny would be. I think that's the ending lesson of this.
Yeah.
I'm a doctor, not a pornman.
I'm Dr. Pornman.
I mean, I'm a pornman sometimes.
PhD. Porn HD.
It's got to be at specific times.
Also, please stop doing it to teenagers.
The porn is for the porn room.
Yes.
And the doctor manga is for my learned study.
Sometimes I'm just eating a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. It does not need freaking spicy sauce on it. It's just a peanut butter and jelly sandwich.
Sometimes a cigar is just a penis.
Is that why Nate has so many rooms in his house?
The fourth bedroom for the porn room.
ご覧のスポンサーでお送りします。
Is your favorite genre of manga feeling bloated? Is the latest shonen battle anime making you nauseous? Does that new protagonist give you heartburn? Then you need the all-new Pepto Manhwa. Pepto Manhwa is clinically proven to relieve symptoms of jaded media consumption in weebs who have binged too much Japanese content. One chapter-sized tablet of Pepto Manhwa, taken visually when symptoms occur, will give relief in as little as 3 minutes, depending on chapter length. Pepto Manhwa works by being just similar enough to manga that the weeb cells of the body accept it, but is just different enough that it relieves the nausea, heartburn, indigestion, and bloat caused by stale and samey content. If you think you need Pepto Manhwa, but don't know what dose you should try, be sure to consult a sensei. Overconsumption can lead to heroin addiction, so restraint is advised. Don't let genre bloat or protagonist cloning hang you up. Try Pepto Manhwa today. So, Andrew, last time we got sort of a cease and desist from the organization.
Yeah, I was just going to say that.
We didn't hear from Truckson.
We didn't hear from Truckson. I was getting kind of worried about him then.
But I see that you've got a letter there. Is it from Truckson?
Judging by the opening of it, it looks like yes. It's the normal
right.
Truckson
Okay.
opener. So I hope he's okay.
Well, why don't you give us a read and we'll find out.
We'll see if it's been a hot minute. Let's see if I still got the Truckson voice. Dear, that time I got reincarnated in the same world as an anime podcaster host, Brad, Ben, and Kermit. I hope my letter finds you well, gentlemen. Due to my taking a vacation to the beach last month, I was unable to send my usual letter in. Also had my 4 wheels of killing steel in the shop while I was gone. And would you believe it? The boys in maintenance, those cheeky gabagool, deleted last month's episode off my podcast player, so I wasn't able to listen to it. I'm sure nothing majorly important or dangerous occurred that would place any of us in any sort of employment or life-threatening peril. And because I'm feeling so confident, I'm going to fill you in on the history of this fine profession of mine. Now, we weren't always this massive, multifaceted corporation charged with cleaning the streets, metaphorically speaking, of course, as I'm sure you've seen my handiwork, of losers, neats, and shut-ins splattered across the pavement like a spaghetti dinner gone wrong. We used to use portals to transport people to another world. Ain't that funny? Murder isn't even a key concept of the Isekai experience. It's just so known for it now as the chief method of transport. The organization would jump in just as somebody was about to die in some heroic fashion and whisk them away to, well, another world. These great, capable heroes on Earth would then act as fantasy heroes in these other worlds, helping defeat some great evil of the land with all the skills they already possessed. All of this helps keep the multiverse humming along like a Chevy fresh off the line. Somewhere along the way, the knuckleheads up top figured out how to give people incredible power, and we went from sending actual honest-to-commie champions to the cheaper, easier-to-get nobodies of today, roided up with whatever cheats the goddesses have on hand. Actually, my earlier point isn't entirely true. Most people go to another world. Some of us just get hired into the club like yours truly. But that is a story for another time. So this is me, your favorite driver, Trucksan, signing off. So he's fine. He just went to the beach.
Did Trucksan just say he was isekai'd? Was he isekai'd as a Trucksan?
I don't. You know, who knows? Who are we?
Well,
who
no.
are we to say?
It sounds like he what? Because if you need to get isekai'd, you need to go to another world.
Yeah, we're gonna move on.
Well, no. He sent his letter. He wants to be.
All right, guys. You know what time it is.
It's time to rank some kings.
It's time for Boji.
Anyway.
It's time for Boji apologist. I'm sorry. Sorry I said Boji.
So we finished Ranking of Kings.
Season 1.
Yeah, season 1.
Currently on the season.
And I'll say this right away, I honestly was really surprised how it ended and how there's obviously going to be more of it. I don't know why, but I had this idea in my head that it was going to wrap up nicely, and so when we got to the end, I was like, what are they doing? Why is this happening?
I also thought that. I also thought this was an anime original, and it's not. It's from a long-running manga. I think we learned that night then.
Yeah.
So I was just like, oh, this feels so like it was always an animation. It's got so much in its move, in the way that it looks and moves, where it just feels like this was how it came into the world, and that's not true. On the
one hand, like, if it was a series that I was like really into, that would have been so exciting. Oh, it's not over. I'm going to get more of it. Oh, how exciting. And I won't say that I didn't like it. I can't say that. I can't say that I didn't like it. But I also, the surprise of there's going to be more was sort of neutral, because it was like, I'm not really attached to this. I don't think it was bad overall, but also like, I'm not excited that there's going to be a second season. I sort of wanted it to be done. I wanted sort of some closure to the whole thing, you know?
I get that. I mean, as the person I think of out of our little trio who liked it the most,
which
did
is
come around on Boji.
By the way.
Your point about like when it ended and it wasn't over, it's like, yeah, I'd watch more of it, but I wasn't like, oh my gosh, season 2. Like, it wasn't like this big, because it was just like I was ready for all these mysteries to be wrapped up properly with like a bow. Like, there wasn't enough floating around that I was like, yeah, I'm in for a season 2. But also just like, there's a lot of things that Ranking of Kings does that like I very much enjoy. I love how it looks. I love how it moves. I love all the weird characters it introduces and this weird like setting and system, and there's more to explore. I just don't know how much space is there. We never even got to go revisit the freaking Forest King and his his dance that made animals get shit out of the sky.
I think that's one of the only things that I'm sort of excited for more seasons of it, is that like I want to see more of the weird kings. I want to see who's in that ranking, and like what are their weird things, and like what rank is the Forest King, like, you know.
Yeah, I feel like that goes back to our whole like our numbers episode, where it's just like, yeah, sometimes having just like a hierarchy just makes you excited about the things that you have not on the chart you haven't seen yet.
Yeah, I'm not so concerned.
But I'm not like
with the hierarchy itself.
No,
more
but it's
so
just
that
like what's
there's a number of other.
What's
ones.
this crazy guy? How far up or not is he? Who are the guys that we have not seen that are around the power level of the guys that we've already seen? What's their deal? What are they doing? What were they doing while we were doing this adventure? Like, but it's not. I don't know. I'm really resonating with your thing of like I'm not like super excited about it, though admittedly talking about this is getting me a little bit more excited, but like I didn't need it. There wasn't like, oh my gosh, this isn't done yet, I need more.
Well, so before we dive too much into how it turned around for us, it sounds like Ben has a bit more vitriol.
Ben's holding something inside. He's been being polite. He's been being too polite.
Yes. I think Ranking of Kings is like aesthetically brilliant. Like the animation, the style, the direction, it's all great. It's worth watching just for that. So I guess I have to give it a good grade. Like aesthetically brilliant, substantially meh. There are things I care about, like there are story hooks I'm interested in. I'm interested to know what the gods were about. I like all the occult stuff.
Yeah, there's with the demon and like how does the wish stuff work out, and like
I'm interested to know
magic and
what the demon king who got to be #1 king finds when he gets into the vault. Because the guy who looks like Danny Sexbang seemed like kind of sus as he was leading him into the vault. Like, oh, yo, don't worry, you'll get everything you deserve.
The jester guy?
Yeah,
who's like the king ranker? And like, what the heck is his deal as the king
so
ranker?
like, what are the king rankers, now that we've introduced the
Are there rankers, or is there just the one guy?
Well, now
it
that we've
seems like there's just the one guy. He's been around for a long time.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just an outfit.
I don't think
That's the thing. Is he a Nurse Jenny, or is he just... Is he like a Q? Is there a continuum of
That's
him?
what I'm thinking. I don't think he's human. Like, there's enough occult stuff going on.
Oh, yeah.
And like maybe the ranking has to do with something with the gods.
Yeah, there's some game being played here. And I think ultimately the rank is like a way of keeping people under control. I could be giving it too much credit.
Or tabs on. We'll see. I don't know.
But yeah, I'm interested in all the occult stuff. But even the occult stuff, it kind of... So I'm going to say, is this a spoiler discussion?
I think we've already started that with you.
Okay.
Yeah, I guess so.
Fair warning, this is going to spoiler big chunks of...
Skip to the
Ranking
end
of
if you don't want to get spoiled.
So I got a couple of big problems. My one big problem is Miranjo and Daida.
Yeah.
I did not like that.
Yeah.
Which part about it?
It also doesn't really make sense.
Their upcoming marriage.
Oh, yeah, that was really weird, and I didn't like it. It made me really uncomfortable.
Yeah, I didn't... that came out of left field. It wasn't earned.
Especially
I think
how
my brain blotted it out.
readily she accepts it.
Yeah.
Because like she's been following Boss around her whole life.
And she raised Daida?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the...
Yeah.
You might say she groomed him?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, okay.
No,
the
not
only
for that
reason
term.
I
would
would
use that term.
The only reason I wouldn't say that
also as a pun
is
it's a mirror.
because
Yeah.
like she didn't seem to be into it, but then she just accepted it.
She didn't even think she had a body. No, I don't think she was trying to... It's just a dumb writing choice. I don't think there's anything malicious about it.
Well, I mean, from our horny segment we just had, I don't think the people who are writing those things think they're as malicious as they actually are to our eyes of like, please stop sexualizing children.
It feels to me like
Not that that's what happens here, but it's of that.
My problem is
brain
that
space.
they don't... So much of Ranking of Kings is in the aesthetic. Like, the occult stuff is really cool, but it's kind of just cool looking. There's like beneath the surface, there's just another question that may or may not be answered after 6 more episodes of Boji running around like an idiot. And then there's Miranjo. It's like, if she and Daida were going to fall for each other, I could see it like him inviting her to stay at the castle as his guest. And like, he can be her boss. Yeah, and then maybe they fall in love.
Yeah, there's got to be...
I'm not saying this can't happen, but the way it happens is very just like, what's going on?
They're going to have to, we haven't read the source material.
I'm so curious what it looks
They're
like.
they're gonna have to do something with that, or else I'm gonna be like, no, this is just wrong.
I'd be curious where you can read it. Just now, I'm really curious and thinking about like maybe I'm gonna try.
I'm sure I could find it.
Just a couple chapters just to know.
But yeah, for me the big thing that I didn't like, there's two main parts, and one of those parts sort of went away. So the first part, and the one that didn't go away, that they just kept doing this the whole time, is the way they forcefully go, hey, you should feel some feelings right now.
Yeah, that's kind of my biggest
They
issue.
didn't, it was hardly ever organic.
Everything I have a problem with is a symptom of that.
Yeah, it always felt forced. And sometimes they did it and it worked. It didn't not work every single time, but
Boji,
I'd say half the time.
One example of everything that works is I think Boji and Kage work. That relationship works.
Yes.
And Boji and Despa, is he the blonde guy?
The guy who trains him.
Yeah.
Is the fancy lad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think their relationship works. Like, I like Despa. I
don't like him, but I think that's the
we
point.
are at odds. I love Despa.
I actually
I
like
don't-
Despa.
I love a good
I-
fancy lad who's kind of freaking doing his thing.
I don't like him in like an undertone way, you know?
Oh, 'cause
where
there's
it's
like a little-
he creeps me out a bit, and like I feel like there's something wrong, even though he always ends up like doing the right thing. And
He's manipulative.
yeah.
Yeah. He doesn't tell everybody the whole deal.
But that's what I kind of like about him,
And
because he
there's
seems
not-
like he could be a cardboard cutout, and he's not, and I appreciate that.
It's not necessarily something wrong, but just like I don't like those kind of people personally.
I get the impression.
Like I don't care that you're doing it for the right reason. You know?
I could be wrong. And Despa needs a little more development. I think that's going to be like my main criticism of everything is like they had plenty of time and got surprisingly little done with it. Character development.
Well, yeah, that the final battle kind of thing where like, okay, Boji's coming back and those guys have infiltrated. That was like the whole second half.
Yeah, it's
of
kind
the
of wild
season.
how much of like the first half of the season when we did our first part review and a little bit after that was like all this big, we're traveling around and we're doing this and we're doing that. And the second half is like, the rest of these episodes is all within like a couple hours.
And I think that's
span.
why I was surprised by,
Does feel
there's
weird.
going to be more. Because it felt like they had plenty of time to wrap up an entire story.
Yeah.
And then
we
they
got
didn't.
really microscopic and looking at a singular moment.
I think like the first 6 episodes, I would structure very differently.
Yeah.
Maybe that's how it goes in the manga though. Like I could
See, that's
see
the thing I'm so curious about
Yeah.
now is how it's structured, how it looks, because so much of the joy of this was it in motion, its style, and it's like, what does the original look like?
When I wonder how much they had to change to be like, okay, we got to fit this into a season.
Yeah.
But there's definitely going to be more, so we
Well,
got to fit this in here. And
I could
change
see the
this.
manga selling itself as like a storybook and then getting a little darker and more intense as time goes on. There's a few things that work right off the bat and more things that don't. And like one thing that works right off the bat is like Queen Healing's turnaround, where you think she's going to be like the wicked stepmother, but then it turns out she actually likes him.
Yeah.
That
Literally
was
best mom.
that transition I thought was bad. Like the whole her being an evil stepmom, that wasn't so much playing on your expectations as it was telling you she's an evil stepmom and being like, no, she's not. You're an idiot for thinking that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I didn't
I didn't like that. I forgot about it then. I
Yeah.
turned around on her. She was one of my
But
favorite
yeah,
characters.
she
then.
winds up being really cool. And what some of the stuff that worked with her was like her bond then, like everything after her turnaround worked.
Right.
Her bond with her guards especially worked. Like I don't even
And a lot of those were those emotional moments that you, if you look at objectively, you can go like, oh, they're forcing this. But on the surface, it works. And
sometimes
so you
they
don't
tell,
mind it.
sometimes they show. Like
Does episode 1 feel like just a weird outlier where they just did a bunch of things and then just said,
Well,
we're not
for
doing
me,
that?
that was like the whole like,
Episode
second
1 and
half.
2.
The whole second half of the first episode was very much to me like, hey, you're gonna feel these feelings and you're gonna like it, or you are gonna shut the hell up.
I
You
liked
know?
like episode 1. So to refresh, episode 1 is where he meets Kage,
Yeah.
gives him his clothes or whatever. He comes back. At the end of the episode, it ends with him tapping Daida effortlessly. Then the second episode Kage's whole clan gets
Oh yeah,
killed.
yeah. Right. I'm sorry. First.
Oh, you learned
first
that
half.
that.
Of
That's
the
already
second.
happened a while ago.
Yeah.
That's weird. That I also thought that was going to factor in at some point. And technically, story-wise, it doesn't. Character-wise, it does, but story-wise, it never factors in that all of Kage's people are dead. And it's like, this feels like it was going to be a really important thing of like, who did this? Is this something the king of this kingdom put out? And it's just like, yeah, no.
Yeah, and it felt
We're
so
not talking about it.
forced.
I think I could do without, like, going back and looking at it, I could do without. And the show as a whole for me would have a lot more goodwill if episode 2 just hadn't happened. The whole Kage's whole clan getting murdered, I didn't need to see it. You'd already told me. Like, a bunch of characters that already say his whole clan got murdered.
Yeah,
I completely forgot
put
that
in-
happened. I'm like, you're like second. I'm like, I don't remember.
Put in
ever
some
seeing that.
flashbacks
And-
here and there with like, oh, you know, he was attached to his mom and she sacrificed herself to save him, and
And
you
I
know,
also
just
don't-
a little bit here and
I
there.
don't even know if you need that because I didn't remember any of that happening. I just knew that his
Yeah.
whole
That's
clan
why I'm
died.
saying
and then at the
you
then
put a
when
little
he's
bit
about
in.
to die and he sees his mom across freaking River Styx, and he's like, I can't.
Yeah.
And it was like that
And-
was a
and that one
scene
worked.
was- I love that scene.
That
scene
one
was great.
worked.
I almost legit
Yeah.
freaking cried during
I
that scene. It was
very much
incredible.
looked at that and went, they're trying to make me feel feelings, and goddamn, they're doing it. Good
Yeah.
job.
It was earned, though, because you
Right.
had a moment with him and his mom.
Yeah.
So I guess maybe you needed those moments. They could
Right,
have
I
been
think-
spread out a little differently.
Right, spread it out.
Yeah,
like
but I don't think you need to. At least I did not need it by virtue of I had a great time. I just had a great time. I was emotionally affected by and did not remember seeing this character before.
Yeah.
Mm.
And
I
I
just
don't.
like, well, obviously it's his mom. I understand what's going on here as a human being on planet Earth,
and
even
I
if he's a shadow creature.
I didn't need 10 minutes of Boji getting mercilessly beaten because it's gay to dodge in this kingdom.
Yeah, didn't need that either.
That really pissed me off.
well, it would have pissed Piccolo off too. So.
That's dodge.
Dodge.
But
Abridged Piccolo.
that burnt a lot of goodwill for me right off the bat.
And that goes into my second point, which did get better, which is Boji is just so freaking annoying. Like,
Yeah.
come on.
He
How
gets
did
better,
no
but it
one
takes so long.
How did no one during the production of this anime go, you know what? This isn't what a deaf person sounds like. Maybe we should change this.
Okay. I'm gonna come out of defense, which I did when we noticed this change. I'm going to caveat to your point that I think it takes a little too long. But the moment when I noticed after he went through his training and he either talks less or when he is feeling different emotions, he makes different sounds.
He does
And I
stop
think
doing
that's-
the cry.
for
Again,
everything.
and that's the thing that turned around for me.
And
is
that was the moment where you go, it was a visceral feeling moment in that moment where I was like, well, why is he doing it now? And it's like, Boji is confident now. He's trained.
But that's the thing.
He's the hero now, so he doesn't sound like a crying baby anymore.
I-
And I think that was the point, and I have to go, you got me. I felt the feelings where I was frustrated when he sounded like an annoying baby, and now he doesn't. And now when he makes his sounds, they still sound similar, but it's like, here's my confident sound. Here's my I'm sad sound. Here's my I care about you sound. And they're all mostly the same.
I don't think that it needed to be that bad and that egregious.
I felt
in the
it
beginning.
because it was that noticeable.
So
Do
I-
I
well,
wish it
yes,
stuck
yeah,
around that
I would
long?
definitely
No.
say that.
Yeah.
Like when it turned around, it was like a weight had been lifted.
Yes, I felt that.
But I don't
appreciated
think
feeling it.
for characterization, for story purposes, for aesthetic reasons, or anything like that, that you had to do it that way to start with. You could have made him young and not confident and infantilized him without being that annoying.
I appreciated the roller coaster ride that I went on.
I-
I think I had a lower low, so I had a higher high.
I mean,
and I
honestly,
personally appreciate that.
The fact that we were on the cusp of at the end of episode 2 or 3 going, are we actually going to keep watching this? Like, we almost didn't.
Oh, yeah,
we
but
only
we did
kept
then.
watching it
And
because
it was
it was
worth it.
pissing us off.
It was worth it
I would say
to me.
in this case, I think it's worth putting up with. I don't
Now at the end, we can
yeah,
say
I would-
that.
Yeah, but that's why everybody else was talking it up so much, is that we had to get through that initial
Yeah,
part.
but I do think, be it direction or sound design, I think there was a less obnoxious way to do
And
it.
that's what I'm saying is I don't think that it was required to be done that way. And if they had gone a different route, they could have achieved the same goal without alienating people.
I still don't like, and this is just a difference I think I have with the creator. I still don't like that Boji's so infantilized. Like, even at the end, he doesn't.
Yeah.
He looks like a baby. He talks like a baby. He acts like a baby.
It gives him room to grow into the new role.
But I don't think he's going to. I think that's the.
He's just going to retain his.
I don't know, because by the
I don't
end,
know anything with the show.
Like, I don't think Monkey D. Luffy is going to become an intellectual,
Well,
and I don't think Boji's going to become a manly man.
But the thing is by the end of the season, he is visibly like taller. He's speaking air quotes differently. Like he's
I can definitely tolerate
obviously
it better now.
Grown
Yeah.
in some way, and so I think that having him be round and cry all the time and everything at the beginning gives you those steps to get to.
I think he could change more. I think we are measuring this off of normal shonen things for our whole freaking conversation about genres and tropes, and I just don't think this series fits those, and I think we are going on gut feelings and not any actual evidence, because the evidence we have is like he has notably grown and changed in the time that we have seen him just this first season.
That is fair.
Like literally how they present him is not entirely, but like a good chunk different, where it's like, I mean, that's why we had that moment where we notice it's like the way that they show him on screen, the way he moves, the way he speaks now is notably different. And what's to say that doesn't keep growing and changing?
Yeah,
We literally have zero evidence, but I think past the fact that I think we all thought that this was a one season one. Am I the only one that thought this was an anime exclusive?
I definitely
I was really surprised to hear there was a manga.
Yeah, a long running manga at that.
Which,
so it's
I
like,
mean, realistically is our own fault that we didn't even look it up, but
yeah, well, because I don't know, just
You would just assume from like how unique it looks.
how
Yeah,
it looks and
yeah.
how it moves.
Yeah.
Some of the fight scenes. I am someone who loves animation. We freaking gushed about, what is it? Sakuga's the phrase.
Yep.
In the Jujutsu Kaisen movie and other spots. I don't even think I would call it that here. I've never seen animation in anime that just like filled me with like a love for life. Like this is like it was watching happiness and joy in the movement. Just watching it move around.
What's interesting about that is
It was so dynamic and full, like I say, full of life, and not just like they're very lifelike, but it just the way the camera moved and the characters moved as they were having this fight, and it just felt so lively and full of like. I just wanted to keep saying full of life, but it sounds so freaking rote. Like I can't capture.
Well, no, I
you
mean,
have to
that's-
see it, and it just
the first time they do that is with the Forest King. Full of life. Like that's exactly it. And then they sort of didn't do it again until the end, where
when you
there's a
start
bunch of
having
different
those
fights. Yeah.
but just like the anime, like you could feel like. I mean, I guess I hope they were. It feels like the animators were having just a fun time making a really cool thing. Like it felt like the joy
definitely.
of art was oozing through every frame of the movement
And
and how it came together.
I can say, as someone who doesn't, care about art all that much, I can look at things objectively and go, "This is good. This is bad." It was. I thought the animation and the art was well executed. It, for the most part, except for some of those boobs at the end, it was on model for something
Queen
that
Healing's
stylized.
freaking
Queen Healing's ever-changing cone-shaped boobs.
that was weird.
But yeah, I thought, I don't really care for that art style, but like they did that art style very well.
The way that I'm with Kermit 100% on this one. The way it moves, the camera angles they choose, and I want to say like,
Gosh,
It-
in
it-
2D
the
animation.
cinematography.
yeah, I want to say like it looks hand drawn. I know it's not. I know they are using computer effects here and there, but like I'd go so far as to say like on par with like Ghibli or Don Bluth or any
No,
other.
those can, someone who's seen those can
Yeah.
stuff it. This was like, because it's like, yeah, like
When I say that, I mean like award-winning, top tier. Like those studios get credit from like the tastemakers, and I think Ranking of Kings deserves to be in that company. Like, it's not going to win an Oscar. It's not a movie, but
It's better than those animation.
So,
lives.
the animation,
a joy of movement, not just here's all the tiny details in a Ghibli movie and we made them move. It's like just like this is the medium.
The
This is what you
camera
can
angles
do
they
here, and
chose,
just having the wonderfulness of the medium and the people making it just come through on it.
No, I like, as much as I'm down on the story aspects of it, it's like a must see. It is a must see anime.
I think the story, except for like certain sort of side aspects,
Some
of the story,
bumps.
I think the story is pretty good. The occult part, like you talked about,
Was
where
neat.
with the demons and the gods and like what's going on there.
It
and,
can
like,
be genuinely creepy.
Yeah,
I
and-
will
and
give it that.
I thought that
mysterious.
that's the one thing that they did so well, and I think one of the main reasons that we kept with it up until the point where we were like, oh, we actually do like this.
When they juiced his dad, I was in.
well, that
Oh yeah, I think
But
we
the-
were all just like I need to get to the end of this 100%.
the thing that they did, where like in the last 3 minutes of an episode, they'd be like, here's this creepy thing that we're not going to explain. And then like the cliffhangers that they did really, really worked.
I think I would describe all my problems with it as like it's heavy-handed. The Miranjo stuff is heavy-handed. The Boji infantilization is heavy-handed. It's
I don't
all
actually mind most of the Miranjo stuff, except for the Daida thing at the end.
I don't like it's too much. Like we burned her, we cut her hands and feet off. And
Yeah, it's like this
just-
is neat. Like you could have gotten here without
Well,
this like straight up
Yeah,
torture
I,
stuff.
I will say
It's like you need magic to even be able to survive the torture they inflicted upon her.
The-
yeah, it's like this feels a lot for this series,
Yeah.
even though it does go heavy, dark places.
the
It's
biggest thing for me with that backstory was like, who are they caricaturing here? Like who are they being racist against right now? Because this is obviously these people in this country are obviously a racist caricature, but I don't know of who.
The people who are just loyal to the gods and don't know they're backwards.
They're not
people.
even loyal to the gods.
Yeah.
Though. They're literally just like.
Oh, they're just greedy, ignorant people who
Yeah.
are loyal to the highest.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm just watching this the whole time like, well, I mean, they're not a different color, so
Don't
that's
ask questions
good.
you don't want answered.
okay, here's something to our starting top of this podcast. Ranking of Kings is not an anime affected by genre bloat. Despite it being technically a medieval fantasy, it never, as someone who just does not like medieval fantasy, I never felt that for a moment.
Yeah,
I was always intrigued, and maybe some of that is the art style.
I'm definitely like,
Because I like
this is
things
its-
presented to me like a children's book because I am a child, despite being freaking almost 30.
it definitely seems to be its own thing,
Yeah. It feels very fresh in that regard. And I think that's what
which I think is a fair enough reason on its own to be interested in it.
novelty. Here's our thing. If there was a bunch of other things that were like it, this is a weaker version of it. But because it's its own thing and it looks different and it moves different and it sounds different than anything else, it gets a lot of bonus points that help you over those bumps. But if there was a bunch of other things that looked like it and moved like it and sounded like it, we would probably be a little bit even more critical of them and not follow along. But I would say for what it is, like Ben said, this is a recommend. This is, as much as we felt things about it, your mileage, everything's got your mileage may vary, but like, I think this is something to seek out 100%.
I definitely fall under the side of, I think it's worth the time to watch it. Even if, you get to the end and you're like, I wasn't really into that. I think given the execution, the story, I think it's worth watching. We got really close at the beginning of going,
We did.
is this worth watching? But I think if you can get to like episode 10, you'll be like, all right.
No, I think once you start hitting the occult stuff around 4 and 5,
There's definitely
that's when
bits
it
of
starts
that in there
That's when it started getting the hooks in us.
where you go, yeah, for us, that was definitely something that was like, okay, this is probably worth it. But I don't know if, a single watcher on their own with those particular pieces, if that would be enough.
I think this one's gonna have like, first, if you're into animation at all,
Yeah.
have to watch it.
Watch it.
It's one of the best.
It takes a hot second to get to things where you start seeing it, but
Yeah.
like even just the art style is a joy to watch in motion.
It's one of the best animated shows I've seen in years.
Yep.
Everything else, I do think I don't think you need to watch all of it. I mean, if there's an episode that's really bothering you, I'd say you could skip it.
Yeah. You could probably skip episode 2.
I would say scrub through it.
Yeah.
I don't think you should skip because you might miss the weird stuff that you need, that you want.
Yeah.
So I would say if a scene's not working for you, scrub through it.
Yeah. And I will say, dubs v subs, you could probably watch this one dubbed. Boji is just as annoying in the beginning.
I didn't like any of the other voices. I think that was part of the dub check, was just like, because we liked Kage a little bit, but also kind of not, because we were checking Boji and everybody else's voice is just like, I thought this would work and it didn't. At least for the scene we were looking at. I don't remember who talked, but
yeah, Sunwon Cho does a pretty good job. There's just a couple scenes where we're like, that's a bit more wacky than we would have gone for this. But
I think the voice direction, and again, it could be a time issue. The voice direction,
probably a simultaneous. Anything we like and don't like. I meant don't like entirely.
the voice direction's better in the Japanese, at least for now, until they maybe touch it up.
yeah,
But yeah, I think there might be. I think we've hammered it home, but I would just say one more time that like there's gonna be a weird. If you're not a big anime person, there's gonna be like a weird Western expectation thing, because this looks like an Adventure Time or a cartoon and it is not
It's
even
an anime.
close.
Yeah,
It is
I mean,
an anime.
Adventure Time has some really heavy stuff in it, but this is
not
different.
masked at all.
yeah. I don't think there's basically no comedy in this at all.
Adventure Time has like heavy themes if you're paying attention. This has like a story if you're paying attention and nothing but heavy themes otherwise.
Yeah.
So I would just say like the tone is going to be weird for a Western audience that isn't expecting it for whatever reason either, because we know anime gets weird, but
This one in particular, especially.
just because of how Western it looks.
I
think
hope
it's
no
gonna-
one has gotten this far into this episode of this podcast and doesn't know that already.
True, I'm preaching to the choir, but if you recommend to your friends, I'd stress that.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Okay, here to tie things together, to put a bow on it. If a season 2 happens, would we watch it?
I want to watch.
I'd watch it.
I'm like,
If it's
I
the
don't
same,
know. The one who
legitimately-
liked it the most out of the 3, I never know where your cutoffs are, because I know when we got like through season 2 of like Dr. Stone, I was like, I don't think I could do it.
if they ever switch animation studios,
I'd be dead.
yeah.
Well, I'd dip my toe.
I'd give it a shot,
We got
yeah.
through One Punch Man season 2. I'm gonna dip my toe in that because I care about the story about Ranking of Kings a lot more than One Punch Man.
I'll give you that. I agree there.
We've
the
suffered
thing,
through worse.
the thing from, well, I would not recommend anybody who didn't like season 2 of One Punch Man at all to go forward with it at all. It's not worth it. Anyway, I would say that the thing for me is that I want to see more kings.
Yep, agreed.
And we didn't really get to see that many in the first season. There's like 6 of them or something that we get to see out of
6 or 7.
hundreds, maybe.
Maybe.
We don't have a real number, but there's at least 80
It's an
or
open canvas.
88
It's
or whatever.
exciting.
So
It's like the One Piece. There's so many other islands. I want to meet the other warlords.
so that's why I'm like, yeah, I definitely want to see another season.
I am legitimately curious about what the number one king is going to find in that vault.
Yes,
I
agreed.
think that is going to set the tone of the show for me, because I'm thinking they really made it seem at the end there like being the number one king is maybe not the best thing.
I'll tell you what, I did really like that subplot with like those brothers.
Yeah.
And like
I
it
love
seems like
those
they're
3.
evil,
That
but then
was
it
good.
turns out they're just trying to save their brother. And I was like,
I love
you
that.
did that. That was so well executed.
That
the
was-
subversions and everything.
That was earned.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
nobody went absolutely apeshit. Like, because when he went to go see the mean king, he didn't just like kick the shit out of Boji.
Yeah.
He was just like dismissive of him.
Yeah, he was kind of rude.
You played it a little subtle there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Subtlety. That's my recommendation.
Yeah. So yeah, you should check it out.
Ranking of Kings.
I agree.
Check it out. Get hype for season 2 to hopefully happen.
But if you don't like it, don't let us know.
Exactly.
If you like it, don't let us know.
Yeah, that too.
If you felt nothing about it, don't let us know.
If you didn't watch it, don't let us know.
Or send us a voicemail of you doing your best Boji cry.
I don't think we should do that. I think that's a really bad idea.
If that gets the engagement, we just
You know
get
what?
100 Boji
If that
cries.
happens, I will play it on the podcast.
Yeah, there we go. That's the one thing you should comment on is your terrible Boji impression.
I will auto-tune you all into something reasonable.
Oh man, now I gotta Google Boji auto-tune. Somebody made a song out of him like Pogo. How do we end these things? I don't remember.
We go, that was it. We got another episode in the bag.
Woo.
Good job, guys.
Big number 11.
We
The
got
1-1.
to the end. So, we hope you had a good time listening. We had a good time talking about stuff.
Yeah, talking about them animes and the mangas.
Always like to talk about stuff.
Otsukare-sama deshita.
Well, if you do feel like sending us a voicemail,
We can take those.
well,
Just
you'd have
call
to
the Isekai Sensei hotline and
you'd have to send me an email
it's an MP3 file,
at isekai-sensei-sama@gmail.com.
wave file.
You could also send something on Twitter. Twitter, you can do media files and stuff. You can send
Drop
that
an
to
MP4.
@Isekai Sensei. You could probably also upload something to YouTube. That might be more complicated.
That seems like a lot of work.
But you can find us on YouTube at That Time I Got Reincarnated as an Anime Podcaster. And if all else fails, or you just want to see more stuff from us because we have more stuff, you can go to animepodcasterreincarnation.com where you can read reviews of things. The latest one where Andrew rants about genre bloat.
Tokyo Princess Demon Bride.
I wasn't going to try and say it.
I've
Demon Tokyo Princess Bride.
I've got a review. I got 2 coming up. I got Ginka and Luna and the Sugoi super smartphone guy.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah,
I asked
the
for
update.
a follow-up for the super smartphone because I think it's really it took off in a very recent chapter where it's sort of like everything's opening up and you're going, oh, this is like a much bigger thing than.
I'm behind by about 5 chapters, so I'm getting caught up. I was on a train reading. There was a new series, Ginka and Luna. It's 3 chapters in by now, but
What's interesting is super smartphone gives me lots of anxiety, but I'm also really into it. I'm normally not into I don't really like things that give me a lot of anxiety.
you know how Nintendo Switch has the the Switch Lite or what's it called? The one that's
Switch
just
I think
handheld.
it's called Switch Lite.
Yeah. Super smartphone is like Death Note Lite.
That's interesting.
It's just a little more kid friendly, a little more durable.
Yeah.
A little more
A little
emotional.
more durable. The
Little more-
pieces don't come off as easily.
Yeah.
Well, though we'll
We'll
see if you
If I
have
still
that
feel
same
that way.
opinion after you catch up. Well, you can also find us on Good Pods, although Ben doesn't want me to talk about that. So
You can talk about good pods.
You should give us
Just won't
a
find me
rating,
on
a review on Apple iTunes.
yeah,
You can review on Spotify now. They got audiobooks on Spotify now.
Why are you listening to a podcast on Spotify, you absolute degenerate?
lots of people do.
Most of my listeners are on Spotify.
Oh my gosh, I used to, and then as soon as the podcast that was exclusive there left there, I was like, I'm done. I'm gonna go back to my podcast silo, where they don't suck.
Ben, you got anything you want to plug?
It's a spooky month on Words About Books. If you want to check out the Words About Books podcast, we've got House on Haunted Hill or no, Haunting of Hill House. There's been so many movie adaptations of it, I forget. We got Haunting of Hill House, Dracula.
I can't remember if that was the one I voted
Dracula
for.
Dead and Loving It.
Somebody changed their vote at the last minute, so it wound up being Haunting of Hill House. But yeah, it's gonna be interesting. My co-host there was not quite prepared for Dracula to be like a found footage book, so
Okay.
yeah. So yeah, check that out. You can follow me on Twitter at Bento Baggins, where you can talk to me about anime if you want.
And you can find Andrew on Twitter at Kermit D. Grog.
I'll maybe see it.
He
Don't find me,
he
please.
doesn't
I'm
wanna
here.
talk
If you
about
want to
it.
talk to me, I'm here.
You can leave me a message for Kermit.
Yeah.
And we'll send it by carrier pigeon.
You can message me on Twitter and I'll give it to him, or you can email me and I'll forward it to him.
But whatever
you could
you
leave
do,
comments on his blog post.
No, you can't.
And he'll never see that.
I'll never see that. I don't know if I get email notifications
you
or
are
not.
not man enough to leave a comment on his blog post.
And this is where we find out that every single one of our listeners is a woman.
You don't have the ovaries to leave a comment on his blog post.
Well,
You don't have the gumption to man spread on my blog post. Anybody can do it. Are you uncouth enough?
You don't have the NB gems to leave
The envy gems?
I don't know.
I love that it's gems.
oh, jeez.
As a possible envy, I love that.
I was going to say stones, but I was like, no.
Gems is way better. I'm going to tell that to my friends and see how they react.
Well, with that, thanks for listening. And I'll tell you what, if you find yourself in a strange new world, be thankful it's not the same thing as last season. All right. Hope you guys can keep up with this. It should be pretty obvious.
Oh wait. So, like, you're going to pitch us something? I'm going to try not to be an asshole about it. Because sometimes you will pitch something that's super clear, and I will just go like, oh, look, a penny, and just explicitly avoid it for comedy.
Okay.
Ben, can I convince you when we get to season 2 to say "in the same world with me" when Brad says it in the intro? Is that going to be the special way we change up the intro?
I promised only to try.
That's all. You don't need to line up perfectly. I'm just asking you to make an attempt. Do you think more people would have been down on Thanos instead of saying he had a good idea if when he did the snap, instead of them turning to dust, everybody just exploded into like a violent cloud of blood and viscera?
I don't know. I have some weird thoughts on eugenics.